Class, we're going to discuss estate and trust. Okay. Class, we're going to discuss estate and trust. Okay. Yung concepts of estate and trust, actually same na siya sa partnerships, co-ownership, and joint venture. So, extension na ito ng discussion natin. Alright? Now, separate natin yung class. Mag-start muna tayo with estate. Estate. Let's have an illustration. Let's say, Mr. X, father of 2 kids, okay? Let's say namatay siya. Mr. X died. Tawag natin kay Mr. X, he is a decedent. Alright? Now, may mga naiwan si Mr. X. May naiwan siya na house. Meron siyang land. Okay? Meron siyang apartment units. Apartment units, pinaparenta niya yan sa mga tenants. And then, let's say, meron siyang mga investments. What else? Receivables. Liabilities. Ayan, yun yung mga naiwan ni Mr. X. Ang tawag natin dito, class, ito yung estate. Okay? When you say estate, these are the properties, rights, and obligations. Properties such as house, land, apartment units, investments, rights such as receivables, and obligations are your liabilities. Got it? Okay. Now, again, Mr. X has 2 sons. Yung magmamana ng estate na yan, let's say si A and B, okay, ang tawag natin sa kanila, they are the heirs or beneficiaries. Let's say si A and B, twins sila, okay, pero 10 years old pa lang, so wala pa silang capacity to manage the estate, okay? So, for that, para carefully ma-manage yung estate, may i-engage sila na tinatawag natin na trustee or fiduciary. Okay? Trustee or fiduciary. Actually, class, in the Philippines, yung typical na mga trustee na yan, yun yung mga large banks. For example, si Security Bank, may mga trust services siya. Okay? Si BPI, I don't know if familiar kayo sa BPI Asset Management and Trust Corporation. Okay, isa siyang division ni BPI na one of its services is yung nagmamanage ng mga trust or nagmamanage ng estate. Alright? So, major banks as well as yung mga insurance companies, yung Freedom Life, mga Sun Life, may mga ganyan services sila. Okay? We call them the trustee or beneficiary. Now, class, yung estate na yan, nag-earn ng income yan. Earns income. Okay? Earns income. For example, yung apartment units, merong rental income yan. Okay, mga deposit, may mga interest income, alright? Dividend income, and so on. Now, class, yung pinag-uusapan natin dito is the income of the estate. Alright? Hindi natin pinag-uusapan yung estate mismo, yung income na ma-generate from the estate. So, just to clarify, yung act of transferring, okay, the estate to A and B, subject yun sa estate tax. Di-discuss natin next time yun. Okay? Ang isa yung one kind of transfer tax yun. Dalawa kasi yung transfer taxes. Meron kang estate tax, meron kang donor's tax. Hindi yun yung pinag-uusapan natin. Okay? Yung subject natin for today is the income of the estate. Gets ba yan? Okay. Now, sir, ano yung rules natin pagdating dyan sa income of the estate? Okay, ito lang class. Magawa tayo ng timeline. Let's say this is January 1. Okay? This is July 1. And then, this is December 31. Let's say dito namatay si Mr. X. Okay? Mr. X died on July 1. Ngayon, class, sino yung taxpayer natin for this year? Yung taxpayer natin from this point up to this point, okay, January 1 to June 30, is si Mr. X. Kasi buhay pa siya that time. Tama? Si Mr. X yung taxpayer natin dyan. Pero from this point up to this point, sino na yung taxpayer natin? Depende. Alright? Ito yung rules, class. Ito tatandaan mo lang. Depende yan dun sa iiwan ni Mr. X. Okay? Pwedeng yung estate is under judicial settlement. Okay? Under judicial settlement, o ibang tawag dyan is with administration. So, class, yung estate, under judicial settlement siya if si Mr. X may iniwan siya na last will and testament. Okay? Pag may will siya na iniwan, ang tawag natin doon, judicial settlement. Kasi pag sabi mong judicial, it means with the intervention of the court. Okay? Merong involved na court dito. Pag may last will and testament, under judicial settlement yun. Yun tatandaan mo. Now, yung isa pang case is under extrajudicial settlement. Pag sinabi mo namang extrajudicial, ibig sabihin, outside of the court. Ibig sabihin, walang iniwan na last will and testament si Mr. X. Malinaw? Okay. So, pag under judicial settlement, ito lang class yung tatandaan mo. The estate is taxable as a separate entity. Okay? So, ibig sabihin class, from this point up to this point, if under judicial settlement siya, ang taxpayer natin is the estate itself. Okay? Ayan, yung properties, rights, and obligations, iyan yung taxpayer natin. Itatax natin siya as if individual siya. Okay? Siyempre, pag itatax siya as individual, alam natin, tax table yung gagamitin natin dyan. Gets? Alright. Now, since hindi naman to talaga tao si estate, okay? Yung trustee or fiduciary, okay, files the ITR and pay. Okay? Lagay ko lang files and pays the tax. Okay? So, in behalf of the estate, si trustee or fiduciary, siya yung bahala mag-file ng ITR at magbayad ng estate. Okay? Pero class, in behalf lang of the estate. So, estate talaga yung taxpayer dito. Okay? Pero in behalf of the estate, si trustee or the fiduciary, so in our example, yun yung mga major banks or insurance company, sila bahala yung mag-file and magbayad in behalf of the estate. Gets? Okay. Now class, listen very carefully. Kapag extrajudicial settlement, the estate is not taxable as a separate entity. Okay? The estate is not taxable as a separate entity. So, ganito yan, class. The rules of co-ownership apply. The rules of co-ownership apply. Yan. Ano nga ba ulit, class? Yung rules of co-ownership, kapag mere preservation, okay, and yung collection of income lang, exempt yun. Tama? Ngayon, kapag beyond mere preservation ka na, nag-reinvest ka na, magiging taxable co-ownership ka na. Yun yung mag-a-apply dito. So in that case, if hindi si estate yung taxpayer dyan, okay, the heirs, A and B, okay, are liable in their separate capacity. Okay? So ibig sabihin, sa separate ITR nila, i-report yung income of the estate. Got it? Okay. So tandaan mo lang, ulit natin, pag under judicial settlement, si estate yung taxpayer as individual. Kagamit tayo ng tax table. Okay? In behalf of the estate, ang magpa-file niyan, magbabayad si trustee or the fiduciary. Let's say si BPI. Ngayon, kapag extrajudicial settlement, walang iniwan na last will and testament, estate is not taxable. Okay? Co-ownership yung mangyayari dyan, class. Ang magiging liable dyan, yung heirs or the beneficiary. Liable sila in their separate capacity. Ibig sabihin, i-report nila sa ITR yan. Gets? Okay. Let's have an illustration pa. Okay? Sige. Ganito isipin nyo lang dyan, class. Lagay natin dito, under judicial settlement. Ayan. And then, later under extrajudicial settlement. So, ganito yung class. So, meron tayong dalawang heirs. Okay? A and B. We call them co-heirs. Ayan. Si A, may sarili siyang ITR. Si B, may sarili siyang ITR. Okay? So, under judicial settlement siya, ibig sabihin, taxable si estate. Okay? Ito si estate. As an individual. So, ibig sabihin, gagamit tayo ng tax table to compute yung income tax due of the estate. Ngayon, every year, merong share yan. Okay? Si A and B. Kasi sila yung beneficiary. Yung income nito, i-allocate natin to the beneficiaries A and B. Alright? Now, class, ito yung unique dito sa estate. Yung distribution na yan, okay, tawag natin yan, distribution to the heirs, okay, sa ITR ni estate, okay, dito, sa ITR ni estate, special deduction siya. Ibig sabihin, additional allowable deduction yan. Got it? Ngayon, sa ITR naman ng mga heirs ni A and B, income naman yan. Ordinary income. Got it? So, yan. Wala nito dun sa previous topics natin. special provision lang yan for the estate. Again, yung distribution ni estate, special deduction yan. So, included sa allowable deductions niya. Ngayon sa heirs, papasok yan sa ITR nila. Okay, may check yan. Now, ang isa pang kailangan mo tandaan for estate, yung distribution na yan should be out of current year's income. Okay, current year's income. So, dapat class, yung i-distribute kay A and B galing sa income. Okay? And dapat current year. Kasi class, pwede mangyari dito. Yung i-distribute kay A and B, let's say, galing sa principal. Let's say, ang binigay kay A, yung bahay, yung house. Yung kay B, binigay yung land. Hindi yun magpo-form part dito. Dapat income. Dapat ang ibibigay sa kanila, rental income, o kaya interest income, okay, basta income from the estate. Got it? Now, ito pa yung isang mong tatandaan, yung distribution na yan is subject to 15% creditable withholding tax. Okay? 15%, flat rate. Unlike yung sa GPP natin, di ba, naalala mo, meron tayong 720,000 threshold. Dito, walang threshold. 15% flat rate yan. Okay? Now, try natin pag-asahin dito. Yung isa naman is under extrajudicial settlement. Extrajudicial, ibig sabihin, wala tayong last will and testament. So, ganito na mangyayari dyan, class. Si A and B, may sariling ITR sila. Okay? Yung distribution sa kanila o yung share nila, right, magpo-form part ng ITR nila. Pareho yan. Whether judicial settlement or extrajudicial settlement, pupunta yan sa ITR of the heirs or beneficiaries. Okay? So, ayan. Yan yung tatandaan mo dyan. So, same rules apply. So, basically, hindi itatax si estate. No? Exempt yan. Kasi co-ownership. Tama? Exempt yung estate. Pero yung share in A and B, pupunta yan sa ITR nila. Alright. So, sige class, apply natin yan sa exercise natin. Let's go to problem number 1. Problem number 1 muna tayo. The following data for an estate and its heirs, X and Y, are available for year 2021. Okay. So, sa estate, meron siyang gross income, meron siyang expenses, and meron siyang distribution, okay, to X and Y. So, una mo agad matatandaan dyan, sabi ni sir, pag distribution, deduction siya kay estate, ordinary income siya kay heirs. The income tax was properly withheld by the estate. What do you mean by properly withheld? Yung 15% CWT, okay? Compute for the income tax due. Compute na rin natin yung income tax payable of the estate, X and Y for 2021. Okay. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. So, scenario number 1, the estate is under judicial settlement or administration. So, ito siya. Ibig sabihin, class, si estate yung taxpayer natin. So, ganito gagawin natin dyan. Ito yung si estate. Okay. Meron siyang gross income, 1.2 million. And then, meron siyang allowable deductions na 400,000. Tama? Meron siyang distribution, which is a special deduction, okay, part siya ng allowable deductions, you have 200,000. Net taxable income, okay, net taxable income natin is 600,000. Alright? Multiply natin by, yung 600,000 na yan, syempre yun yung i-allocate natin dun sa kay X and Y, tama? So now class, yung 600,000, since si estate is an individual, yung tax due natin, gagamit tayo ng tax table. Alright? So, asan dyan class yung 600,000? Pumunta kayo dun sa individual sa tax table, 30,000 plus 25% in excess of 400. So, tax due natin for the estate, 30,000 plus 25% in excess of 400,000. Alright? Sige. So, let's compute. 600,000 minus 400, multiply natin by 25% plus 30,000, you get 80,000. So, income tax due of the estate, yan din yung income tax payable niya, it's 80,000. Alright? So now class, yung net taxable income na 600,000, yan yung i-distribute to, yan yung magiging subject to creditable withholding tax na 15%. Alright? So 15%, tignan natin. Yung distribution na to, na 200,000, okay, yan yung magiging subject to 15% CWT. So multiply natin by 15%. Yung CWT ni estate is 200,000 times 0.15, you have 30,000. Alright? This is the creditable withholding tax. Now, dito natin isolve yung kay A and B. Okay, so si A, C, and B. Alright? So, kumpitin natin yung tax due nila. So, si A, meron siyang sariling gross income, 900,000. Alright? Si X and Y pala to. Si X and si Y. Si X, meron siyang sariling gross income na 900,000. And then, meron siyang allowable deductions na 200. Tama? And then, class, yung distribution kay X, okay, will form part of X's gross income. In 200 na yan, tig 100 si X and Y. Okay? So, yung distribution, lagay natin dyan, plus 100,000. Right? So, 900 minus 200 is 700 plus 100, you have 800,000. Okay? This is the net taxable income of X. Since X is also an individual, i-apply lang natin yung tax table natin. Let's compute for the tax due. Okay? Tax table natin, 800,000. So, dun siya sa 30,000 plus 25% in excess of 400,000. So, lagay natin 30,000 plus 25% in excess of 400,000. Alright? So our tax due is, so let's compute class, 800,000 minus 400 times 25% plus 30,000, you get 130,000. Tax due natin is equal to 130,000. Actually, yun yung tanong sa atin, tax due. Pero computin na rin natin class yung income tax payable. Take note na si estate, we need hold na niya yung CWT na 30,000. So yung CWT na 30, syempre hati dyan si X and Y. Right? So, ibig sabihin, minus lang natin yung 15,000, 130,000 minus 15,000. The income tax payable of X is 115,000. Right? So, income tax due, 130. Income tax payable is 115. Let's do the same thing for Y. Okay, so sagutin natin si Y. Si Y, meron siyang gross income. Okay, separate gross income niya na 700,000. And then, allowable deduction si Y, 150. Nasa table lang yan. And then, distribution to Y is 100. So, take note, yung distribution na i-record natin class should be gross of creditable withholding tax. And then, dito na lang natin i-deduct yung CWT. Okay? 700 plus 100 is 800 minus 150 is 650,000. Let's compute the tax due using the tax table. Alright? So, sa yung 650, dun sa between 400 and 800. 30,000 plus 25% in excess. Okay, plus 25% in excess of 400,000. 650 minus 400. Alright. Okay, so 650,000 minus 400 times 25% plus 30,000, you get here 92,500. 92,500, this is the income tax due. Okay, income tax due natin is 92,500. And then, i-minus natin yung CWT na 15,000 for Y. Okay. 92,500 minus 15,000. Income tax payable natin class is 77,500. Income tax payable of Y, 77,500. Alright. So, ganun lang siya. Okay. So, scenario number 1 natin is under judicial settlement. So, scenario number 2 natin class, okay, scenario 2, what if under extrajudicial settlement? So, yung rules of co-ownership will apply. Alright? So, in this case, assume natin na preservation lang and collection of income. So, ibig sabihin, exempt si estate. Ganito gagawin natin, class. So, si estate, meron siyang gross income na 1.2 million. Tama? And then, meron siyang allowable deductions of 400,000. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, meron siyang net taxable income na 800,000. So, class, take note na walang distribution dito. Alright? Walang distribution dyan. Dito, meron kang distribution na special deduction siya. Dito, wala. Scenario 2. Okay? Now, yung 800,000 na yung class, maghahati dyan si A and X and Y. Okay? Si X and Y. Hati sila. So, that is 400,000 each. And yung 400,000 na yung class, i-report nila under separate capacity. Okay, so let's solve for X and Y. Okay, so obviously, yung tax due for the estate is 0. Wala siyang tax. Okay, kasi rules of co-ownership yan. So 0 yan. Okay, so sagutin natin yung kay X and Y. So dito si X, dito si Y. So si X meron siyang gross income. Okay, separate capacity na 900,000. Meron siyang share. Yung share niya is 400. And then, allowable deductions na 200,000. Okay? Now, yung net taxable income of X is Ilan to? 900 plus 400 is 1.3 minus 200, 1.1 million. Gamitin natin class yung tax table natin. 1.1 million, nasa siya? 1.1 million is between 800,000 and 2 million. So 130,000 plus 130,000 plus, okay, 30% in excess of 800,000. So 1.1 million minus 800,000. Okay, the tax due for X is 1.1 million minus 800,000. Okay, times 30% plus 130,000. Answer natin dito class is 220,000. Okay, 220,000. Alright, so this is your answer for X. Kay Y naman, meron siyang 700,000 na gross income. Okay, and then yung share ni Y is 400,000. Allowable deductions niya, personal, is 150,000. So it means 700 plus 400,000 plus minus 150, you have 950,000. Okay? Net taxable income. 950,000, nasa siya sa tax table natin. Doon pa rin, sa between 800,000 and 2 million. So, tanggalin na natin to. Yung tax due of Y is 130,000. So, tax due, 130,000 plus, okay, 30%, or in excess of 800,000. 30% in excess of 800. Alright, so let's compute for Y. Okay, 950 minus 800,000 times 30% plus 130,000, you get 175,000 income tax due for Y. Alright, so sagot natin, income tax due for the estate is 0. For X, 220, and then for Y, 175,000. Okay? So, ayan. So, that's how you do it. Sige. So, let's proceed to problem number 2. Erase ko na ito, class, ha? Problem number 2, short problem lang yan. So, Mr. X died on March 1, 2021. He left an estate with a fair market value of 12 million. During the year, the estate had a gross income of 1 million and related expenses of 300. During the year, the administrator gave 200,000 each to Y and Z, yung mga beneficiaries ni Mr. X. Of the amounts given, okay, to Y and Z, 50% came from the income of the estate and the other 50% came from the estate. Okay? The net taxable income of the estate is, so class, take note, yung deduction dito kay estate, okay, should be from distribution out of the income of the estate. Okay? May dalawa kasing components yung estate. Meron siyang principal, meron siyang income. Ito yung principal. Okay? Ito yung principal, ito yung income niya. Okay? Rental income, interest income, dividend income, and so on. Kapag ang ginawa, class, yung distribution is out of the principal, okay, hindi siya magiging part of the deduction. And hindi siya magiging part of ordinary income. Okay? So, apply natin. So, ang tanong dito, class, is net taxable income of the estate. Okay? So, this is number 2. Compute natin yung estate. So, sa estate, meron siyang gross income na 1 million. Tama? 1 million. And then, allowable deductions niya, 300,000. Alright? Now, yung distribution, ano yung may yung computation natin dyan? Meron daw 200,000 each to Y and Z. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan. 200,000, tigisa sila, so times 2. Okay, so times 2. And then, 50% daw niyan galing sa income, yung 50% galing sa principal. Okay, yung 50% lang na galing income, yun lang yung pwedeng i-deduct dyan. So, multiply natin by 50%. Okay, 200,000 times 2, that's 400,000. Times 50%, that's 200,000. So, minus 200,000. Okay? Ibig sabihin, class, net taxable income of the estate is, so 1 million minus 300, that's 700, minus 200, you get 500,000. Answer here is letter B, or boy, 500,000. Alright? Easy. Easy lang, easy lang. Okay. So, let's proceed to next item. Let's go to number 3. Mr. X, resident citizen, died on January 10, 2021 and left an estate of 10 million which is under the administration of Mr. Y. So, ibig sabihin, under judicial settlement. Alright? It includes a portfolio of rental properties. In 2021, the estate generated rental revenue of 3.8 million after 5% withholding tax. Okay. So alam natin class, kapag renta, subject to creditable withholding tax yan. 5%. Now, 3.8 million, naka-net na yan of the withholding tax, i-gross up natin. 3.8 divided by 95%. So sulat mo to, 4 million. Okay? 4 million yung rental revenue natin, naka-gross up. Alright. The estate also incurred deductible expenses amounting to 800,000. Mr. Y distributed 500 and 750 to Mr. X's two kids, X, A and B, respectively. 60% of the distribution came from the income of the estate, while the rest came from the estate itself. So yung 60% lang yung pwede natin i-deduct. Ang tanong sa atin dito, class, compute for the tax still due. Pag sinabing tax still due, ibig sabihin yun yung income tax payable. Alright? From the estate in 2021. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan. Start muna ako sa rental revenue. Okay? Yung rental revenue of the estate, again, kapag na-subject ka na sa withholding tax, i-gross up mo muna yan. Okay? Sa mga creditable withholding taxes. So, instead of 3.8 million, lalagay natin dito, class, is 4 million. Okay? 3.8 divided by 95%. Alright, so allowable deductions natin, according to the problem, it's 800,000. Tama? And then yung distribution to the heirs or beneficiaries, special deduction yan. So let's compute. So nangyari dito, class, yung distribution daw, nasan niya? Distributed 500 and 750. So gagawin ko dyan, 500 and 750, okay? 500,000 plus 750,000, and then multiply natin yung class sa 60%. Tama ba? So tingnan, 500,000 plus 750 times 0.6, 750,000. Yung distribution lang na deductible sa atin is 70,000. Kasi class, yung 40% na principal yung dinistribute, okay, yung estate mismo yung dinistribute, hindi yun magiging part of our deduction. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, net taxable income natin is 4 million minus 800,000 minus 750,000. You get here 2,450,000. Alright? And then, since individual sa estate, yung tax due natin is using the tax table. 2,450,000, andun yan class between 2 million and 8 million. So, 490,000 plus 32% in excess of 2 million. Okay? So, 450,000 minus 2 million. Let's compute. 2,450,000 minus 2 million times 32% plus 490,000, you get 634,000. Alright? Ito yung income tax due natin, pero ang tanong is, income tax still due? Ibig sabihin, yung income tax payable. Ima-minus mo dito, class, yung, ano ma-minus natin dyan? Yung expanded withholding tax on rent. Okay? Yung EWT natin. So, how much yung EWT? 4 million times 5%, tama ba? 200,000. Minus mo yung 200,000 na EWT from the rent. Okay? 634 minus 200, you have 434,000. Income tax still due or the income tax payable, letter B. Okay? Letter B. Boy, 434,000. Plus, bakit yung 15% na creditable withholding tax, hindi natin dineduct dito? Kasi kanino mo i-deduct yun? Doon sa heirs and beneficiaries. Okay? Kay A and B. Alright? So, kaya dideduct na natin dito yung renta. Kasi ang babayad nun, si estate. Yung CWT, doon natin i-deduct kay A and B. Gets? Alright. So, yeah. So, that's number 4. Ayan. Punta tayo sa theory questions. Actually, 3 problems lang for estate. Simple lang naman yung topic na yan. Let's go to the theory. Theory number 1. The property, rights, and obligations of a person are which are not extinguished by his death, and those which accrued thereto since the opening of succession. Ang tawag natin dyan is the estate. Okay? So, expound natin yung class. Pagdating natin dun sa transfer taxes, okay, sa estate tax, pag-aaral natin dun yung may mga concept na legitim, okay, mga free portion na pwede mong ipamana. Titignan natin kung paano kino-compute yung estate tax. Right? So, letter C for number 1, a person. Number 2, whose property is transmitted through succession, whether or not he left a will. Sa example natin, si Mr. X yun. Answer letter A, decedent. A decedent who has a will upon death. Okay? So, ito technical terms na lang. Kapag nag-iwan siya ng will, ang tawag sa kanya, testator. Letter D or dog. Okay? The person called to the succession either by the provision or of the will or by operation of law. Letter A, heir. Okay? Heir or beneficiaries. Okay? Letter A. An heir who inherits personal property. So again, mga technical terms lang to. Ang tawag natin dyan, legatee. Letter A. Okay? Pag personal property, legatee yung tawag. An heir who inherits real property, ang tawag naman sa kanya, devisee. Alright? Letter B, devisee. Number 7, Statement 1, where the estate is under judicial administration, the income of the estate shall be taxable to the fiduciary of trustee. False yan, okay? So, class, take note, ang taxable dito yung estate. Ingat kayo dun, ha? Yung estate yung taxable, okay? Pero syempre, yung estate na yun, hindi naman talaga tao yun, okay? Kaya, on behalf of the estate, ang nagpa-file doon, nagbabayad doon, si trustee or fiduciary. Okay? Pero syempre, yung pambabayad doon, kukunin nila sa estate. Gets ba? Okay. So, false yung statement 1. Statement 2, where the estate is not under judicial administration or sabihin, under extrajudicial settlement, the income of the estate shall be taxable to the heirs and beneficiaries. That's correct. Okay? Separate capacity nila. Okay? Rules of the co-ownership will apply. So, dog yung sagot natin for number 7. Number 8, income received by the estate during the period of administration for tax purposes is known as, well, income of the estate. Letter A. Income of the heirs, yun naman sa mga beneficiaries. Okay? Letter A for number 8. Okay, number 9, statement 1. The amount of income of the estate for the taxable year which is properly paid or credited during such year to any legatee, heir, or beneficiary, special item deduction from the gross income of the estate. That's correct. Okay? Special deduction siya. Kaya dito, meron tayong yung mga distribution, deduct natin. Okay? It's considered as special deduction. So, statement 1 is true. Statement 2, an allowance paid to a widow or heir out of the corpus of the estate. Pag sabing corpus, yun yung principal, okay, of the estate is not deductions from the gross income. That's also correct. Okay? So, again, tignan mo yung distribution. Okay? Yung distribution dapat galing sa income. Kapag galing siya sa principal or ang ibang tawag doon is corpus, pag ang binigay is house o kaya land, hindi yung deductible. Right? Hindi rin siya income of the heirs or beneficiaries. Gets? So, statement 2 is also correct. Number 10, when an estate under administration has income-producing properties, the annual income of the estate becomes part of the taxable gross estate. False. It becomes part of the taxable gross income. Alright? Hindi estate. False yan. When an estate under administration has income-producing properties and its income during the year is distributed to the heirs, the income so distributed is taxable to the heirs as part of their gross income for the year. That's correct. Actually, whether judicial, under judicial, or extrajudicial settlement, yung share ni A and B, okay, magiging part of their ITR. Alright? So, statement 2 is correct. So, letter C for number 10. And then, let's go to number 11. The following statements refer to the rules in determining the taxable income and the applicable income tax liability of an estate. Which of the statements is or are correct? Number 1, the items of gross income of the estate are the same items as the items of gross income of individual taxpayers. That's correct. Okay, so again class, yung estate natin is taxable as an individual. Kaya as you notice here, lahat ng computation ng income tax due natin based on the tax table. Kasi it's as if si estate is an individual. Alright? Number 2, in addition to the allowable deductions, the estate is allowed to deduct the amount of income of the estate during the taxable year that is paid or credited to the legatee, heir, or beneficiary. That's correct. So, distribution is a special deduction. And then number 3, the amount of income of the estate during the year that is paid or credited to the legatee, heir, or beneficiary is subject to final withholding tax of 15%. Mali yan. It should be creditable withholding tax. Kasi ano yung difference ng ulit ng final withholding tax and creditable? Yung creditable, mina-minus natin yan sa income tax due natin. Alright? Pag final withholding tax, hindi na yan papasok ng ITR natin. Alright? So, kaya mali yung statement 3 na yan. Final answer, letter A, 1 and 2 only. Okay. So, yun yung estate. Let's have a short break before we go to the trust.